2, 1. All right, we should be live. Welcome, everyone, to Shin-Arken Podcast, episode 16. Doing elite spec stuff and maybe other conversation. Anyway, it's just myself and Arken this week. What's up, Arken?
What's up, Shin? How you doing, man?
Not bad. Yourself?
Excellent, sir. Excellent. Can't wait to go over these 3 that we have.
Yeah. The three they revealed, the 3 we got, the three. Rule of 3.
Mm-hmm.
But, there's probably something, like, I almost feel like this is the elephant in the room.
What do you mean?
The condition and mobility changes.
Oh, that's huge.
Yeah, we should probably talk about that before we jump into the elite specs.
We can do that.
Oh, man.
Absolutely, dude.
Especially because the Reaper is probably, like, really heavily affected by this. The movement, anyway. Yeah. Well, both sides of it.
I would say that it definitely makes things a lot less counterplayable, in my opinion, because, again, one of the biggest things that I would say is that, like, Ride the Lightning or Rush or a lot of these high mobility moves that drag you, long distances will no longer be affected by this. So we got to go deep into it. Yeah. But it's very, very crazy.
Yeah. Well, like, Ride the Lightning specifically, I don't think is actually affected by Condi's.
No, it is. It is considered a leap skill. Absolutely.
Oh, okay. I guess I never noticed that. Maybe it's because I never see the Ellie snared or anything, because they always cleanse it and then they ride the lightning off or something like that.
Don't you love those snares and cleanses and stuff like that?
Dagger Sally. Oh man.
Yeah.
But
getting a massive nerf.
Yeah.
Soon. Well, Sally,
everything is gonna get a big old nerf bat to the face.
What if they just removed it? Would you be okay with that? Just a random thing. Would you be cool with that?
I'd be fine with it. I mean, it would like, as much as I hate Sally in its current state, I still think it's fine having that there for people who want to have that stat weight. But I wouldn't personally be bothered if it went away, because I mean, I don't like playing Sally. But
all right, so you heard it here first, folks. We are officially getting rid of Sally.
We are removing celestial amulets, and
I think a lot of people would actually be very, very happy if that. I'm just saying, if hypothetically speaking, if that actually did happen, I guarantee you the vast majority would be like, awesome.
I don't know about the vast majority, but at least 50%.
51, vast majority.
51 to make the vast majority of the 1%.
That's it.
Oh man, like Celestial Amulet, I'm fine with it being there. I just don't like it being as strong as it is, but I also wouldn't be bothered by it being removed.
You're 2 in the middle, man. Pick a side, damn it. Well, you know what? And again, just because again we're going way off topic, but this is just something I wanted your opinion on.
I mean, tangents are a specialty of ours.
They are very fun. I would say. And you know what? I honestly believe this to be true, that way more, I would say 70%, without a doubt, do not like that amulet at all. Do not. Because, again, let's look at the numbers. What's 5 out of 8? That's about 70%. My math is terrible, but I'm just going to assume it's about 70%, right? So you're looking at 70% of the players don't play those 3 classes, so they can't utilize Celestial as well.
Yeah.
So, again, just going off of those numbers, I would assume that would be the case, but that's just me.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, okay, I like the concept of Celestial, I just don't like it being as strong as it is. That's my issue with Celestial, is it's too strong right now, but I don't have a problem with it fundamentally. I think having that, like, oh, hey, you have a very balanced stat spread. I don't really have a problem with that. It's just, I don't like it being as strong as it is. I think I would rather see it. I'd rather see what they're doing be done instead of having it removed completely, because it lets the people who want to have that play style, they can still take the Celestial Amulet, but it doesn't make the classes that benefit the most from those ridiculous like they are now.
Of course.
So I'm happy with the nerf. If it got removed, I wouldn't be bothered. I wouldn't be sad to see it go, but I would probably stock up on popcorn to watch all of the salts. And then use that salt to season my popcorn even more.
There you go. Now, actually, one last thing, and this is something that many people may not be aware of. Maybe you or I didn't know this until recently. I looked it up. So they were looking at a 10% across-the-board nerf.
Yeah.
I believe that was actually said, right? So that was kind of confirmed.
Yep.
But I don't know if many people realize this, but that would actually put the stats lower pre-buff. Like the original stats before they buffed it, it would be lower than that.
Really?
Oh yeah, without a doubt. In fact, it didn't even get buffed that much, believe it or not. I'm actually trying to find the stats, but if I remember correctly, each stat only got like a 30 stat bump. It was very, very small. I mean, granted, when you add them all up, it was like, you know, a couple of hundred, obviously. But now, again, I remember looking this up about a couple months ago because I was curious about the old Celestial stats, and I'm kind of looking them up right now. But before, they were not very. It was not very strong.
No,
I mean, I'm sorry. It wasn't as small. Like the bump wasn't massive.
Yeah.
You know, so in my opinion, Celestial could have been taken before regardless. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
does that make sense?
Yeah, I think the reason why it was, I guess, garbage tier or not, maybe not that bad, but it wasn't that great before was because of a lot of the other changes that we've seen since then. They didn't exist, so the classes couldn't take advantage of them. But after some of those changes, then they also buffed Celestial. Oh no, they buffed Celestial. And then they also made other changes to the classes that allowed them to take take advantage of that increase in Celestial stats more. And then we have the Celly meta we have now.
Right.
So
actually, I found it. Here it is. I'm sorry to cut you off.
Yeah,
I apologize. I just wanted. Okay, so the old stats were actually So the old stats were 376 base. Remember, you had a jewel though, of course. So 376 plus 45. What is that? My math is freaking terrible, dude. So what's 376 plus 45?
370, that would be about 420.
Okay, so 420. Now, look at the stats of Celestial now.
Isn't it like 434?
It's only 4. They got a minor buff, as you can see.
Yeah.
You see, do you now, it got such a minor buff before. So it could have been taken way before and still be just as effective. So 420 from 438. I mean, why didn't people take it before? That is a very, very minor change. You know what I mean? I'm looking at it right now. It's literally 376 plus the jewel, which is 45.
Yeah. I honestly think it's just we've had so many balance changes to each of the class since then that's what pushed it over. But like, had they kept Celestial Amulet where it was, and then those changes went through, then I don't think it would be as much of a problem as it is now. So, I mean, there have been so many moving pieces and so many changes that have happened over such a long period of time that it's really hard to kind of like, okay, if you did this over here with this change, and then like if you didn't do this change but you made it's my brain.
Of course. Oh, absolutely.
Ridiculous. But like I think just honestly, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens because that Celestial nerf is going to happen at the same time as the spec changes, as all the skill and trait rebalances. It's going to be interesting. Like I posted I retweeted a GIF on Twitter where it was like, this is an accurate representation of all the player base at E3 or whatever, and it's like this dude carrying a bunch of stuff, and he just like trips and everything goes flying everywhere. And I'm like, this is also an accurate description or an accurate representation of the player base after the skill and trait changes.
Oh yeah, dude. The stuff's gonna go everywhere.
The meta will not even be what it is anywhere close to what it is right now after those changes, just because so much stuff is changing.
I really hope that is the case, and in fact, I would love to see a push away from, because we've been in a tanky meta for so long.
Yeah.
Dude. Like, the name of the game is very simple. It's to put out as much damage as you possibly can while remaining as tanky as you possibly can, right?
Yep.
Celestial allows that. Well, it's the damage is definitely there. And again, like I said, I'm just hoping that it changes and it moves away from that to a more, okay, so if you want to do a significant damage, you better sacrifice your sustain, and obviously the other way around, you know?
Yeah, and actually roping in this tangent, going kind of back on the Condi and mobility changes, I'm actually kind of concerned that we're going to go back into a Condi meta because of those condition changes. Like, okay, another thing, it's like a ping pong ball. We're bouncing between all the...
But it's not, because now we're back on topic. Because we were originally starting with these the movement changes and Condi changes. So we're actually back on topic.
Yeah, but it actually relates to the Selly amulet we were talking about.
Okay.
So the Condi changes, one of them is, for anyone who doesn't know, is right now, people put out a certain amount of condition damage at certain thresholds, whatever. What they're doing with the scaling is they're making it so anything under roughly 700 Condi damage stat is going to scale worse. You won't be doing as much damage if your condition damage stat is lower than 700. So that means Celestial is going to get hit that way as well. You won't see like it'll take them longer to get up to that break even point with might stacking. They're going to have the Selly amulet nerf on top of that, so they're going to have even lower stats. Like, it's going to be like that's happening. What I'm concerned about is the flip side of that change, where they are actually increasing the scaling above 700 or so. So they said you'll be doing significantly more Condi damage the higher your stat is above 700. And most Condi builds right now, most, say, like Chronomancer or whatever, they're already building a lot of condition damage. So that means the setups that already have a lot of condition damage are going to be doing even more after these changes.
Right.
I'm concerned, like, I already see this blowing up in World v. World, but it's World v. World. Things are unbalanced as everything.
Oh yeah, and again, I don't think anything should ever be balanced around something like that because there's so many players.
Yeah,
it is ridiculous. So I can understand the imbalances there. I get that.
Yeah. I completely expect it and understand it being broken as all hell in World v. World. I'm concerned that change is going to bleed over into PvP, and we're going to go back into a Condi meta again because it's with those Condi users having even more condition damage, and you're getting rewarded even more for stacking more condition damage. I could see it bleeding over into PvP, and it's going back to that Condi meta we had back in 2013.
You know what's funny? It's funny you mentioned that because that was 2013, but we're still kind of in that because when you really look at it, when you look at the Celestial, meta, what is still the number one thing that really kills you though? It's not physical damage, is it? It's really not. It's fire, it's burning, bleeding, and/or poison.
Yeah.
So we're still kind of technically in that meta. I mean, it's not as strong because you have lower stats, technically, but what's still really killing you at the end of the day?
Yeah,
honestly.
I mean, we do still have some. We have Selly rifle NGs that are putting out a lot of Condis. Periodically, I'll run into a full-on Condi NG who will melt me.
Right.
Yeah, I do agree with you that that is kind of there, but it's more of a component of the Selly meta than it is its own separate meta or the meta. But
absolutely.
I'm concerned it's going to become the meta again, and that's scary. That is very scary to me as a warrior who, even, like, unless they add a lot of condition clearing to our set or they add a lot of resistance or something, I can very easily see... I made a comment on this, I think, on Twitter a while back, but I could very easily see Warrior falling back into our late 2012 meta of we are absolute trash against anyone who uses any reasonable amount of conditions. Because
I think the only way you would survive would be Shoutbow. That's the only one that would actually survive due to the amount of Condi clear. I get that.
Yeah, and even then, with the Selly nerf and all that, Shoutbow will eventually get out to... Like, Healing Stick is getting nerfed, and just the amount of damage output and amount of healing it's going to be able to keep itself up with. Eventually, I think if everything goes the way I'm worried it will be, not even Shoutbow will be able to survive. Like, the conditions will just be too much damage, and it won't have enough self-sustain to keep itself alive for long enough, even with the clearing.
Well, think about, dude, and again, this isn't to put out warriors, but because, again, from my point of view, their clearing is so sufficient compared to, like, think about other professions. They're going to be even more fucked. You know what I mean? They're going to be even more screwed because their Condi clear is a joke in comparison. You know what I mean? As a guardian, like as a meditation guardian, I can clear Condis, in bursts, but over time, I'm going to die very quickly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's going to kill a lot of classes, dude, and I fear for it. You know what I mean? It's going to be rough, and I see your understanding because, again, like I just hopped on my class, and I'm already at 1,500 Condi damage on my guardian. That's more than double. You know what I mean? And that's not even including the amplified wrath, which is increasing the burning damage. You know what I mean? So I understand and I get it, and that's why a lot of things need to be rebalanced in terms of your sustain. Because again, conditioned builds, as they are inherently, are also very tanky. They are. They have toughness. They have vitality. And the whole notion behind that was so that they could sustain themselves and put out damage equal to Zerkers, right?
Yeah.
Problem was, that's not going to happen anymore, really, is it? Because you are now lifting that ceiling to pretty much limitless, right? You are now increasing the scaling, so now the condition classes will be more than... They were never not prevalent, honestly.
Exactly.
They were always strong. Condi's always tore me apart, dude. I'm sure they tore you apart. They tore apart a lot of classes, dude. They were never not strong to begin with. In PvP, that is. So I'm with you, dude. I'm actually scared shitless because I can't stand Condi builds, and I was really hoping we would move away from that, but it seems kind of the opposite, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I mean, people could come back to me on the whole, but you're gonna get resistance when you use Healing Signet. The thing is, when we pop Healing Signet after these changes, we'll get resistance, but it's not going to be anywhere near as long, assuming they haven't changed the numbers from what they showed. It was like 6 seconds of resistance when using Heal Sig, and then a decent burst heal. The thing is, if they don't change the cooldown of Heal Sig, that's a 16-second cooldown, meaning we're going to have 10 seconds of no passive healing and no resistance, which means we will eventually melt. Like, it's just, even using that resistance, we're still not going to be able to sustain ourselves against crazy Condi overload, even with, like...
User in your channel timed out.
Uh-oh, I think we lost Arken. Yeah, we lost Arken. Well, I mean, I'll continue my thought, and I'll tell him when he gets back. We have an Arken rip. But assuming if they don't change any of the numbers, we're not going to have anywhere near the amount of, I guess, coverage of our Condi protection to keep us from
joined our channel.
There you are.
Hey, I'm sorry. I actually just got a blue screen of death, so my computer just crashed. My apologies.
No worries.
But I was only gone for like 10 seconds, so would you mind reiterating what you just said?
Yeah, I was kind of recollecting myself. I'm like, oh no, we lost Arken.
I'm sorry, dude.
No, it's all good. No, what I was saying is, even assuming they don't touch the cooldown, assuming they don't change numbers from what they showed us, the amount of protection we're going to have with, say, resistance on using Heal Sig is not going to be anywhere near enough, because with Signet Mastery, we have, I believe it's 16 seconds of, without Signet Mastery, I believe it's a 16-second cooldown, and then with Signet Mastery, 20%, I think that's like, I want to say 12 seconds, 13 seconds. That's still
on Healing Signet.
On Healing Signet.
Wow.
Otherwise, it's 20 and 16. I need to look at the numbers.
Is it 20 and 16 now, or is it going to be changing to something lower? Because that is actually really nice.
I'm gonna look this up real quick just so I have I don't have my numbers wrong. But even with Signet Mastery, which not everyone's gonna be running, especially with Shoutbow, you might not want to have that. I gotta find it here. Oh no, this calculator.
I thought it was 20 and 16, isn't it?
It is 20. Yeah, it is 20 and 16. So assuming they don't change the numbers, assuming they keep it 20 seconds base and 16 with Signet Mastery, that means even if you were traded for it, that's still 10 seconds of no resistance, no passive healing, and assuming you've already busted your heals from your shouts, that is basically, you are just wide open to Condis.
Right.
And that's also assuming no boon ripping. That's assuming they don't just rip that resistance right off of you as soon as you use it.
That's right. It is technically a boon, is it not?
Yeah. Resistance is a boon.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
okay.
So I am very, very concerned for what's going to happen to Warrior after these condition changes go through. Not even Shoutbow will be able to handle the increased damage combined with the nerfs that we're getting. Well,
think about that, dude, for a second. Think about what you just said. And this isn't to put down Warriors. Think about what you just said in terms of the Warriors. If Shoutbow can't handle it, no one can even touch it.
Yeah.
No one's going to be able to even sustain themselves in this Condi meta. You know what I mean? Because right now, that is the condition clearing class right now, right? That is the apex for the condition, for Group A we clearing. If Shoutbow can't handle it, everyone else is going to die. It is going to be an instance of whoever lands their shit first.
Yeah,
quite literally,
more or less. And I'm blanking on it.
What's that?
I had a thought, and now I'm losing that train. It's leaving the station.
It's okay.
Oh, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, like I'm all for Shoutbow getting nerfed. It does need to be nerfed, but I think the way it's getting nerfed, plus all of the other baseline changes, is just gonna do a complete like 0 to 0 patch for that build, and then. I mean, Zerker stance is probably going to get changed to also do resistance, like a pulsing, refreshing resistance buff. But even still, that's only going to last 8 seconds, 10 seconds or so.
Right.
I mean...
It's scary, dude.
It is
scary.
scary.
Like I said, I fear for Mesmers, who really don't run Condi clear. I don't fear for... Actually, you know what? I kind of fear for Rangers now because we talked about this. They changed up their Condi clearing because now, before, again, this is just to go off topic a little bit, they could take the survival of the fittest and an empathic bond at the same time to maximize their condition clearing. Now they can't do that anymore. They have to pick one or the other. So I kind of fear for them. I fear for, engineers as well, who also don't have very much Condi clear. I mean, literally everybody I fear for. It is literally going to be... If I'm coming upon you and I see you and you don't see me and I land my shit first, you better pray that you have a shit ton of Condi clearing, or else you're gonna instantly be melted, right?
Yeah.
And that's not good at all.
Yeah. And there's another thing we should probably mention. In addition to the scaling change, you got to remember that vulnerability is going to be increasing Condi damage as well. And
what the hell, man?
pretty much every Condi class out there, every heavy Condi class applies a very substantial amount of vulnerability.
Yes, actually, I'm pretty sure that if necessary, honestly, one single class could max it out by themselves.
Oh yeah.
If they wanted to, so it's going to be relatively especially Mesmers. Again, those guys can easily max it out themselves. Now, if you're talking about group application, then we're really getting heavy. So,
although that actually did give me an idea. This is completely off the wall, but
off the wall.
Sword Mace Shout Warrior, like a Sword Mace Shout Bow, maybe kind of, where you just drop a bunch of vulnerability on someone, and then you've got a bunch of Condi stats, and then you just load them up with, say, a flurry, and then you pin down and fire field.
Right.
That would be interesting because on my mark,
kind of cool. Honestly.
Yeah, on my mark and the Mace 4 each apply 10 stacks of vulnerability for, I believe, roughly 10 seconds, or somewhere around there. It's a decent duration on both of them.
Let's look it up.
So,
I'm curious too.
Yeah, I can actually throw it on here. The Mace.
Awesome.
Mace does it for 10 seconds, and I'm pretty sure on my mark.
Are you looking offhand? Offhand Mace?
Yep, offhand Mace number 4.
Offhand
and then where's my on my mark also does it. Yep. So it's 10 seconds each.
Holy crap!
So
but you know what?
Yeah,
that's a pretty long cast time. So I can see it being justified. 3/4 of a second is a long cast time.
Typically, you've got them where you want them. If anything, you can tremor them first and then hit them with it.
Right. That's true. That's fair.
So I mean, I could see that I could see that potentially being viable. I mean, a caveat we need, or a caveat or a disclaimer, right? Something we need to put here is this is all conjecture. We have no clue how any of this is going to shake out. Like, our fears could be completely unfounded. Well, maybe not unfounded, but our fears could be completely dispelled when we're actually getting in and testing and we're seeing everything in action. We don't have access to the actual numbers. We don't have access to any of that stuff right now, so we can really only think about it
based on what we have now.
Yeah, based on what we have now.
The numbers we have now, absolutely.
Yeah, and I mean there will be a ready up tomorrow as well, where they go over a lot of the changes, and I would assume they're more or less final form. So I mean, we'll probably have a better idea then. But man, Condi's.
Right. Well, again, there's nothing wrong with going off of what you have, because that is our base right now. That is the baseline of what we have. And I would say, at least I'm hoping that they're going to be changing the vast majority, if not all of them, for the better. So we could be completely off base, but going off what we have now, there's nothing wrong with it, because they could very well, say, for instance, keep all of the mace skills on Warrior exactly the same. They could not change a damn thing because they think it's fine, right? Yeah. So there's, again, going off what you know, there's nothing wrong with it, because that right now is fact. Yeah. I mean, there's nothing wrong with conjecture, with thinking about the stuff based on the info we have, but there's also the fact that everything can change. Mm-hmm.
So,
absolutely.
Oh man. So I guess we've talked about both of the major condition changes. I mean, there's also the stack cap being raised for everything, but
Pretty much infinitely.
yeah, but everything but vulnerability. But honestly, PvP, that's not that big of a deal. I'm stoked for that change for PvE because it means you're not competing with everyone else who's attacking, say, a world boss or who's killing a champion or whatever. I think that's fine. I like that change for PvE, and I don't think it really affects PvP. World v. World.
I don't think so either.
Yeah.
Because I don't know about you, but I've never been hit by 25 stacks of anything. I mean, maybe vulnerability I have because of how easy it is to apply in massive stacks at a time, but bleeds, no, never really been hit by a full 25 stacks. Mostly, honestly, maybe 10, if that.
Yeah.
So I'm not really scared about that.
I can see with the cap removal, maybe for sure warriors probably bumping above that 25 cap more like here and there, depending if they go full on for bleeds.
Right.
But I could maybe see Mesmers doing something along those lines as well. But the only one that really comes to mind as far as going over that cap in PvP would be warrior. But you'd have to like explicitly build 4 bleeds for that to work. Right. But yeah, the stack change it's not really that big of a deal as far as like I'm not worried about it. Is what I'm trying to say. I'm
with you on that, honestly.
Yeah.
But I'm still scared in general. Because Condi's.
But what about them stacking burns, though?
I fear for everybody who's not a guardian. Honestly,
I fear for guardians too.
I do, honestly, because you know what's funny, and again, I hate to keep going off on this, but guardians are not the best class to apply consistent burning. That's actually elementalists.
Yeah.
Believe it or not. With Drake's Breath, they can apply much more burning in an AoE than we could ever do. So it's actually funny to hear people complain about that when it's actually completely unfounded. When you look at, again, Drake's Breath being on a 5-second cooldown, that applies an AoE cone of burning in front of them, 2 seconds per hit. So, yeah, we don't apply the most burning, not even close.
You guys still apply a lot, though.
Oh, no, we do, absolutely. I'm not going to disagree with that. But it's going to be, Ellie's is definitely the highest. I don't know, I would say maybe Guardians is the next. I don't know who would be the third then. Probably Engineers.
Yeah, probably Engineers.
Yeah.
We'll have to see if IP gets changed. The old incendiary powder.
That I hope so. I hope it gets nerfed into the ground. It's one of those, you know, uncounterable skills. So yeah, I'm with you.
All the fun. So I guess before we jump into the elite specs, that just leaves the movement changes.
Yay.
I am not a fan of these. I really want clarification on what exactly they're normalizing, because if it's distance...
I can tell you exactly what it is.
Well, I mean, they say distance, but they don't explicitly say distance and speed or anything like that. They kind of leave it open. I'm concerned that they are normalizing the speed and distance.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, and if
I'm
that's...
like 99% sure on that one.
Yeah, if that's the case, I really don't like that change, because it makes things feel less fluid. It really messes with, say, Necros, Reapers, people who kind of rely on snares to keep people in range. I'm not a fan of that normalization, because it's just gonna make it's gonna make things feel slower. It's gonna make it won't not just feel, but things will be slower, because you're not gonna be able to use those boosts to get between points as quickly. You won't be able to use them to run around like with roaming and World of World. You won't be able to use them to get between fights as quickly.
Are you thinking the opposite? Because that's exactly what it is.
No, like, it's going to affect both sides. It will make it so snares don't, like, you won't be slowed down.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, but it also, at the same time, you won't be sped up if you have something like swiftness, or like a passive movement boost trait.
Oh, right. I'm sorry, we're speaking both sides of the coin. Okay, yeah. I got you. Yeah, you're right. Honestly, I'm not a huge fan of it, mostly for the slows, because, again, it allows for less counterplay. Honestly, if I slow you as... Say I'm slowing down an Elementalist and they wanted to ride the Lightning. It's going to slow them down, potentially allowing me to land a specific skill to keep them in range. But now that's not even possible anymore.
Yeah.
You know, because they're going at full speed in that direction, and I'm like, well, that was a waste of a condition.
Yeah.
So that's not good at all.
Like, a lot of times, say right now, if you're playing, I don't know, Shoutbow, this wouldn't really be a problem with Shoutbow because of the County Clear, but say right now, Shoutbow, you've busted all your County Clear, and you're low on health. You need to get out so you can either rotate to another point or get out, recoup, and come back in. right now you have to think about whether you have snares or not, and think about clearing them to be able to leap out quickly and do all that fun stuff. After this change, you won't have to think about that anymore. It will take one more thing away from any sort of thought process that needs to go with Shoutbow, and make it even more of just kind of mindless gameplay. And
it's more forgiving for those classes who have high mobility.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I see the whole warriors and Nike warriors running around world. Like, I understand why people would be mad about that. I don't like the fact that most people, or a lot of people who play my class, give us the stigma of, just book it whenever you're in any sort of danger. Like, I don't like that. As someone who likes to get into and stay in fights, especially 1v1s, and go until death, and, not run out like a coward, I don't like this, because it just
allows... get out of jail free card.
Yeah, exactly. Like, we already have so much mobility to get out of fights as it is. This is just going to make it even more so. Like, I mean, yeah, we won't have the benefit of going as far if we have swiftness and whatnot, but that's typically not an issue.
Right.
Most warriors who are running from a fight probably don't have swiftness unless they've just popped, say, their signature rage. It's adding more... It's taking away that kind of... Yeah, like you were saying, it's taking away that counterplay. It's taking away that balance of fighting in melee against someone who's using a lot of snares, and then say you have to put some distance between you and them for whatever reason. This punishes the snare user, and it's neutral for the warrior. So
exactly.
I guess it's more. It's like net gain speaking. It's a buff for the warrior in that situation.
Yes, and I don't think what they're taking into account is the fact that those professions who can move around a lot, they're going to be seeing the most buffs, while those who don't or have very few are not going to see anything regardless, because you're not fast to begin with. So I'm with you. I'm not a fan of it. I don't like it. Normalizing is almost never good in almost any instance for any time that I've ever heard in terms of balancing, regardless of what it's being applied to. So yeah, not a fan. Not a fan at all, dude. I hope they revert this. This is not a good change.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand why they would want to do this because of, like, map breakouts, or maybe it's easier to balance when you know the distance everything is going to go all the time, as opposed to the variables of the buffs and whatnot. But
right.
It's just, like, it's punishing to the classes that don't have a lot of mobility, or who rely on snares to keep their opponents in combat. And also, it's just going to feel less fun. Like, I like running around quickly because I have Warrior Sprint or Swiftness. I like having further distances I can travel with my Bull's Charge or my Rush, because it allows me to get around maps more quickly. It allows me to feel like Sonic. It's just fun, and taking this away removes some of that fun factor, and I really don't like that. But, like, I should probably comment on something. People can say, "Oh, Nike warriors in PvP." The thing is, a warrior leaving a point in PvP is done for an entirely different reason. At least high tier is done for an entirely different reason than a warrior running away in War of the World. A warrior running away in War of the World is being cowardly because they don't want to lose the fight. If it's a 1v1, if it's a 1vx and the warrior's outnumbered, I can understand why you'd want to get out. But if it's a 1v1 and they run away, it means they're giving up the fight, but they don't want to die. Blah 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 blah. In PvP, Greatsword warriors are played like thieves. Like, they're meant to get out if there's too much pressure. They're more useful somewhere else by running away than they are dead on a point if it wasn't their fight to begin with. Like, people, like, I don't know, the whole notion of, oh, warriors run away from point PvP or cowards, blah blah. Like, they're doing what they can to help the team, not being cowardly.
In a sense, yeah.
Yeah.
I can see that, and that makes sense, and I get that. It's... I've never experienced that because I'm a guardian, I'm slow. I can't run very far. But
you get those wings, though. I mean,
yeah, that's going to help so much. 60-second cooldown for a measly 600-unit leap. Yay. No, it's whatever. It's neither here nor there, because we're going to get to that anyways, dude. It's probably one of the specializations. Yeah. But yeah, it's not a good change at all.
Yeah.
Again, it's not. And I remember a while ago, this is one of those minor things where Bull's Charge Frenzy Warriors were a thing, where they were essentially thieves.
Yeah.
That was funny.
Yep.
I remember that. That was good times.
Get in, do the deeps, get out. Otherwise you die.
And if you miss, or you didn't do the deeps, yeah, you're kind of dead.
Yep, exactly. All right, I think we've gone over that. We've punched that elephant in the room a few times, or whatever
With a sledgehammer.
with a sledgehammer, bash him into the wall.
Right.
All right. Well, I guess we can jump into the three elite specs.
Let's do it.
You and I were talking before the podcast. We can do Chronomancer, Reaper, and then Dragonhunter because you want to save the best for last, right?
Damn Skippy.
All right. Chronomancer. I like the idea of Chronomancer. I like the whole time manipulation thing they've got going. Just like it's cool to see the way they've kind of implemented this whole manipulation of time in the game. Like it's specific to the Mesmer, but like I don't know. I don't know how to really articulate it, but I think it's cool. I think it's just a cool implementation of the concept.
No, absolutely. Well, that's exactly what they're all about. So I completely get that, and it's actually really neat, especially with the combinations that they can pull off for sure. Again, completely resetting, say, any of your elite skills, but also there's also a downside to it, if I remember correctly. Using it at the wrong time, like for instance, say you're at like 10% health and you're fighting, you get back to full health and you pop it before you get back to full health. You're gonna go back to that 10% health. You may have reset your cooldowns, but there's definitely a negative side to it. So it's going to take, I think, a lot of practice to get down. But the control of time is really neat.
Yeah, and not only just like the thematic concept of it, but like you touched on this with what you just said, the skill depth. Like it's going to take a lot of, like you said, practice, and a lot of knowledge, and a lot of timing to get this elite specs playstyle down. Because with continuum shift, continuum split, whatever, if you use it at the wrong time, you are going to be punished really hard. I mean, Mesmer is already a fairly punishing class if you don't play it right. Outside of, PU, but not touching that. If you use things at the wrong time, if you don't manage, say, your alacrity properly, and you don't F5 properly, you're going to get just absolutely run over. Because you're going to be dropping your health too low, or you're going to be dropping your health and giving your opponent free damage, more or less. You're going to be, you won't have the cooldowns you need up all the time. Like, if you don't use it properly, you will be punished very, very severely.
And again, that's actually a really good example of risk versus reward, where I suspect that with those Mesmers who can utilize this to its maximum efficiency, it's going to be incredibly strong. But again, if you screw up, you're going to pay for it.
Yeah.
As you should, though, with any class or any sort of spec that you run. If you're running it flawlessly, you should be rewarded. But if you fuck up, then pain should ensue.
Yeah, I like the fact that it's got, like, just the continuum shift, continuum split, the F5 mechanic alone already adds a really crazy dynamic. But then you got the fact that you've got the wells in there, you've got the alacrity that is really only specific to the Chronomancer. I mean, you can share it, but it's mostly the Mesmer, the Chronomancer only. So you've got that factor in there, and then if you want, you've got the shield as well, that is more alacrity, and you've got the positioning with, I think it's the number 4, it's the wall.
Well, that would be the number 5.
Right.
Where you're throwing the wall.
Yeah, you throw the wall and it comes back to you. Like, there's just a lot to the Chronomancer, a lot of stuff that requires good use, a good positioning, good management of your skills in a fight. I'm a big fan of what they're doing with it. Like, just
it's
all
also
over it.
Really complex, which is awesome. Really neat. I have to say, out of the 3 we're going to discuss, I would definitely say Chronomancer is the most complex specialization, for sure. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's the most complex out of all of them.
Yeah. I guess for those who don't know, we should probably say what alacrity is. Alacrity is like the reverse of chill. It doesn't speed you up movement-wise, but it does speed up the cooldown of all your stuff. So, by, I think, 66% is what I've got here. It allows you to take long cooldown things and make them not so long. And using that with skills that already have decently, like, medium to short cooldowns, that'll be interesting. If you can manage that alacrity buff all the time.
Oh, absolutely.
Manage it well. Just, oh boy. Oh, man.
Especially for you and your teammates, for sure. Again,
Yeah.
with those with high cooldowns like Banner, Lich, Rampage,
Oh, man.
any of that. Oh, that's going to be huge. That's going to be really, really strong for support Mesmers, and I'm really hoping that we do see that type of Mesmer in play.
Yeah. I didn't even think about Alacrity in combination with the Rampage, Lich, and Banner. Oh, man.
yeah. Well, again, I'm reading one of them. This says, anytime it's the number 4, Echoes of Memory, block the next incoming attack. When this skill blocks, summon a phantasm that slows enemies and grants alacrity to allies.
Yeah.
So, allies as well. And the range is 900.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's pretty nice.
The cooldown on it is 30 seconds, too, at least according to what they showed us. So, I mean, you could have that Phantasm out, especially if you're boosting that speed with alacrity, but just by yourself. I mean, you could have a fair number of...
That'd be on almost a 10-second cooldown, just so you know.
Assuming you're blocking every attack and you're getting that Phantasm. Yeah, that's... that having 3 of those things out, and then having like a Chronomancer Phantasm build, that'd be an interesting support setup.
Right. Now, let's also discuss the fact that, again, Phantasms and or clones are still pretty squishy, as they should be. They shouldn't be ridiculously tanky to keep them out, for extended periods of time. So any smart or any constant AoE will probably flush them out. But so this is on the what's the word I'm looking for? It's on the more hopeful end that you might get more than one of these out. Even then, one is pretty solid.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that being said, though, in the Chronomancer trait line itself, there is a trait that gives you basically a second life for all your Phantasms. So even if they do get blown up once, they still will be there. There will still be those Phantasms there even after they would have died. Also, there's the I believe it's the inspiration line. I know they recently came out and said that they changed it a lot from what they originally showed, but even still, if that line is still all about like boosting your Phantasms and making them a bit beefier, making them allowing them to stay out in the fight even more, those two traits alone, just maybe like for example, just the Phantasm health boost trait and the and the second life Phantasm trait, with these Deja Vu Echo of Memory Phantasms, that's a lot of alacrity flying around constantly.
Again, without a doubt. I still think that, again, it's going to be a lot to be flown around, but I still think that they're going to be relatively easily destroyed.
Yeah.
Again, any smart players you see, they're just going to be like, well, this needs to go. And it's probably just going to be a side effect of AoE regardless. But yeah, definitely for support, though, who definitely builds for it should definitely it should most certainly be good for supporting your allies with those cooldowns, especially the massive ones. Holy crap.
Yeah. What about what if you position them in a good spot? Because I believe the Deja Vu skill that becomes active when you no. You summon those regardless. You get to use it a second time if you block attack. If you block an attack. So you could effectively get 2 out, and then with all the alacrity flying around, you could get a third one relatively quickly. And if you position yourself, like, say, midpoint in full fire, you get those set up. Yeah, you get those set up in a decent spot.
That kind of depends on where you are. If you're on point, they're probably going to die really quickly.
Yeah.
But if you're on the ledge...
Yeah, I'm saying put them up on the ledge.
Oh, then you might be able to keep them alive for a decent amount of time, since 99% of the time they're not your focus fire anyways. So, yeah, for sure. Without a doubt.
And I guess that really depends on what their range is, what the Phantasm's range is.
It says 900. I mean, I don't know if that's the actual range for the alacrity, but that's what I'm reading here. Unless without knowing the range of the Phantasms themselves, it's kind of hard to say. But yeah, if they have like a 900 range, you could just plug them up on, say, the outside ledge, and boom, you've got alacrity flying around your team all over the place. Mm-hmm.
That's definitely appealing.
Oh, without a doubt. Oh yeah, very much so.
Oh man, that's just the shield too. All right, what do you think about them getting wells? What do you think about Chronomancer wells?
Well, it's interesting because the heal, because I'm going through all the wells right now. I'm just looking at it on Dolphy, and like the Well of Eternity, their healing skill. Not a huge fan of any sort of ground-targeted heals. outside of the Ranger Healing Spring, which I think is actually really nice. This one doesn't seem very good, in my opinion. The cooldown's actually really short, though. So that's actually not that bad. It's actually
20 seconds.
That's not bad at all.
I mean, that's 20 seconds plus alacrity.
Yes, exactly. Oh yeah, that would be very interesting to see for sure. I could still see Mesmers taking Ether Feast, but they might try this because of the simple fact that it doesn't have a stipulation on how many clones you have.
Yeah.
Granted, it is a smaller burst heal overall, but the cooldown's the same, right? It's in an AoE, right? And again, I can definitely see this being potentially used, but I think for a short while, most would probably use Ether Feast for the meantime.
Yeah, but there is something we should probably call out about this well. It also grants vigor to everyone.
Yes, vigor's nice.
And I mean, vigor seems to me to become. It seems like it's becoming more valuable because it's being stripped away from certain classes, like warrior, for example.
Vigor, regardless, I still think it's the strongest boon in the game, followed by protection.
Yeah.
Because.
But what about Aegis?
Aegis is on the bottom of that freaking bucket with retaliation. One block, really?
I thought. Haven't you been going off about Aegis being the top, followed by protection?
No, it was always vigor, protection, swiftness, regeneration. That's probably the top four. I would definitely say.
Might.
Well, again, it depends on those who can actually stack might effectively. 5 out of the 8 classes can't stack might effectively.
Fury
is good. I'm just saying in terms of sustainability. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for the sustained ones. Yeah, for
Vigor is the best.
Yeah, for the sustained ones, Vigor is definitely up there. I agree with you on that, but I don't know.
Because complete avoidance is much better than a 33% reduction.
Yeah.
So, but again, that 33% reduction is it's thrown around like candy on some classes. You know what I mean? So it's, now don't get me wrong. I like the whole concept of active blocking and Aegis in and of itself, but one block is so weak because most of the time it's completely nullified by just a shitty auto attack regardless, you know what I mean, especially in a massive team fight. So again, I like the concept behind it, but I don't think it's as strong.
How about them backstabbing thieves that just pop it and then hit you again?
Yeah, exactly, even better. Yep, perfect. I like it. You bring up a good point. Thank you, sir.
Oh man. Well, I mean, I'm looking at Well of Eternity, the heal well with the low cooldown plus everything it does. I think I could see some Mesmers using it. I could actually see a fair number of Mesmers using it because depending on your playstyle, depending on your build, I could see that being more valuable than, say, Ether Feast. I mean, yeah, I agree with you. I could see Ether Feast being used a fair amount as well because it's a nice heal and you have a lot of clones out typically and all that fun stuff. And also Ether Feast would synergize well with that thing we were talking about before with the 3 Deja Vu, Echo of Memory phantasms being up a lot.
Right.
So I could see that for sure, but Well of Eternity with the Vigor and the AoE and all that fun stuff and the big burst heal at the end, yeah, I could see it. I mean, it seems like an attractive skill, depending on what you build for.
And the healing is actually not that much worse in comparison to Ether Feast at a full 3 clone charge. It's really not that much less. It's like, I think, about 1,500 less based on what I'm looking here. So it's really not that bad, and this is guaranteed. You don't, again, Ether Feast, you may not get those 3 clones. You may just get this, the standard 5,500, which is not bad, but it's not to its potential, which this is always going to be because there's no stipulation on it.
Well, there is a stipulation. It's standing in the well when it goes off at the end. If you want the maximum amount of healing,
3 seconds,
you do have to be standing in the well when it explodes. But that's a much easier to meet stipulation than having 3 clones.
Well, it depends. Do you have Deceptive Evasion? Because if you do, maybe not so much.
Yeah.
See what I mean?
Yeah. That's going to come down to a build thing.
Absolutely.
Either way, I think Well of Eternity is a good heal. I think it's nice to have.
Absolutely, yeah. I think it's a decent heal. I think it will be competitive for sure.
Now, Well of Recall with Reapers.
Let's see this one. Creates a well of memory which speeds allies recharge. When it expires, it steals memories from them, damaging. Holy crap!
Damaging and chilling.
That's on a the damage isn't very high. There is a decent amount of alacrity. I'm assuming it so you're getting about 3 seconds of alacrity because it pulses 3 times.
Yep.
And then at the end, is it at the end that it chills? Is that how it goes?
Yep. The end explosion is chill. And the size of it is, well, the size is 240. So, I mean, if
That's
you
your standard well size.
yeah, I mean, if you throw this down on say a point, I could see this being really nice, like in a team fight where you got a Reaper alongside you.
Right.
Oh man, oh man.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. Yeah, this would be nice. I think the cooldown is a little too long to justify it. The damage isn't very high to begin with. I would see this being more used for team support because of the alacrity and AoE chill.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, definitely team support because of both the alacrity and the chill itself is nice in team fight. And then if you throw in Reapers in there, which we'll talk about how Reapers are benefiting from this when we get to them. But yeah, I mean, yeah, Reaper Necromancer next meta team.
I'm kind of scared.
Man, I'm really scared of Reaper. As a melee warrior, I am really scared of Reaper.
You know what's funny is the argument behind the auto attack is that it has a slow auto attack, and I look at them and go, I use a hammer on Guardian. What are you talking about again? Mine's 1 second. Mine is 1 1/4 of a second. That is 1 second. You have no right to bitch. So it's we'll get to that soon. But that my argument is something along those lines.
Yeah. All right. I guess since we're kind of already doing it, we could just do all of the wells.
Yeah, let's do that.
And then after that, we can jump to Reaper because I have roughly a little over an hour before I have more obligations. So I mean,
that's fine. We'll speed through it then.
Yeah, I can probably speed up a little bit. Speeding up, Chronomancer.
Yep.
Oh yeah. And the next spell we're gonna talk about is quickness.
Oh yeah, that would be good.
Oh
sure.
man,
absolutely. Quickness being turned into a boon, like an actual boon to be stripped.
Yep.
Interesting, but again, and this is something that that I'm a little curious about because there's only there's only there's 3 classes that I know that can strip boons. It's Mesmers, Thieves, and Necromancers, right?
Yep.
Guardians, we can do it now, but that's actually going away. They actually took that away completely.
Okay.
So we're not getting that at all. And so I think it's just those 3 classes that can do it.
Yep.
That can actually strip boons. If I'm, is that the case? I'm pretty sure.
I'm pretty sure you are correct. I'm pretty sure those are the only 3 that can actually rip boons off of your target and either do something with them or just remove them. Because with warriors, it's you say boon ripping, and we're like, what's that? Is it boon hating? And no, it's not. We have one trait where we do more damage depending on how many boons the opponent has, and it's nice, but it's not. I don't like it because it doesn't solve very many issues with fighting boon users in general.
Especially since most of them will always have protection regardless.
Yes, yeah,
so
protection.
That kind of nullifies the whole, 3% per boon since, but that's
But yeah, you are right. It's Necro, Mesmer, Thief. Those are the only ones that can rip him.
Right. But yeah, I think that's kind of cool. I actually like the concept of having a lot of these turned into boons that can be removed. I am actually a fan of that because I'm not a huge fan of, boons that cannot be countered at all. That when you pop them on, they're just there. They're done, Yeah. So I'm actually okay with that, for sure.
Yeah, I like the fact that things like quickness are becoming boons. I like the fact that resistance is going to be a boon. It has that counterplay. I think it's just a cool way they are changing things. It adds more counterplay, adds more depth to the combat.
Absolutely.
Now
do you think they should give more classes more boon ripping? What do you think about that? Just curious,
we haven't seen the last 2 legends of the Revenant, so they could be getting boon ripping as well.
Right, they could for sure.
So there's that. I honestly think a lot of classes are fine without the boon ripping. I think all the classes I can think of right now, I think are fine without the boon ripping. Boon ripping is an incredibly powerful mechanic, so I think it's fine just having those 3 with 3 potentially 4 having boon ripping because I think if you add it to anything else, you're probably going to start skewing more some of the balance.
But with boons being thrown around like candy, anyways, wouldn't that be a good thing? Because I mean, I can honestly tell you that it is just everywhere. Constant, high duration.
I'm just trying to think where it would fit, like thematically. Who would be good to give that to?
I would assume. Why not? Right? Because again, remember a while ago. Remember what they did to what was the sword 4 on Warrior, where you threw it and it did bleeding. and then they turned it
Impale.
into Torment.
Impale.
They turned it into Torment.
Yep.
I'm not trying to be rude, but why did you get Torment? Your class is a physical class. Isn't Torment like a magical type thing? So
Well, I mean, torment is kind of an abstract concept, so they can say, oh yeah, this is tormenting and this is
but
tormenting.
that's what I'm saying. Exactly. So that whole I think that whole concept kind of goes out the window in that sense.
You actually just gave me an idea.
But do you see what I'm talking about? They can easily change skills to either to rip boons or to change it to something else, like they did with from bleeding to torment. Because again, the whole theme thing needs to kind of go because it kind of hinders a lot of classes.
Yeah, but this is kind of a tangent. It's a very short one. You gave me an idea when you talked about boon ripping and you talked about impale. Our tile flip on impale when the sword is in them is rip.
Right.
And right now it doesn't. Well, here's my thought.
I know what you're thinking.
Yeah. Here's the thing, though. Right now, rip isn't that good. It doesn't really do enough damage to be worth using. The torment is too good. What if? And I know you already know where I'm going with this. They add boon ripping to rip.
If you rip boons with rip.
Yeah, exactly. I'd be down for that.
Really?
I may or may not have a personal desire to be able to rip boons.
Yeah. That'd be funny. Honestly, I don't care who gets it because I personally think that boons are there's still too many of them still being thrown around like candy. It's kind of, again, with the way boons are, and again, I just want to get off this tangent so we can continue, is that the whole concept of medium or low, medium, and high armor and health is kind of thrown out the window when you have a shit ton of boons that sustain yourself. I don't know if you agree with me on this, but again, when you have high regeneration, high protection up time, what is the point of having an armor tier then? Honestly, there's none.
To be fair, armor tier doesn't really mean much regardless.
Right, but you see what I'm getting at? Is it kind of throws that concept out the window, doesn't it?
Yeah.
When you have just like a constant influx of this, right?
Yeah, I think that's a topic that would eat a lot of our time. A lot of our time. Yeah,
let's skip it.
We can save that for another podcast.
Okay.
But yeah, we should probably mention what Well of Action does since we've been talking about it or like dancing around it. For those who don't know what Well of Action does for the Chronomancer, it creates Well of Delayed Time, damaging and slowing enemies who are in it, and then when it expires, it gives allies in it quickness. And I'd say this is another good, say, either team fight or PvE support well. Like, all of these wells, I think, work very well for team support.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean,
I'm with you on that one, especially since the field is ethereal. And ethereal is actually the best field in the game for chaotic armor, or for chaos armor.
Chaos armor is nice.
So, yeah. People keep forgetting about that. That's actually the one thing I don't like about Well of Eternity. Their heal is it's a light field, and light fields are the shittiest fields in the game.
Yeah.
So that's my only gripe. But again, moving on to the other ones, being ethereal, that's nice.
Yeah, for sure. Well of Calamity rends time damaging, weakening, and cripple foes in the area. So it's kind of like an AoE dot AoE. And then when it expires, the well deals massive damage. So basically, I like what they do with this one because
that one actually makes sense.
It synergizes really well with itself because you're doing damage to someone over time. You're crippling them so they can't move out of it quickly. You're weakening them so they can't dodge out of it as much. And then when it's finished, it does a bunch of damage. And I mean, the damage they show on that tooltip, that's a lot. 1791 base. That's a lot.
Yeah. Something tells me that's with the Berserker amulet, but that's still a lot, regardless of how you look at it. Either way,
yeah,
that's nice.
Yeah,
but you know what? Again, with the concept of how all of these work, and they all look they're exactly the same. The duration is only 3 seconds. All of them are 3 seconds, right?
Yeah.
So, this seems strong, but how easy is it going to be to pull off against someone who knows how long they last, right? So there is definitely some counterplay to it. Like, okay, I see that. Yes, I'm getting crippled, but if I just count to 3 seconds and dodge, I'm going to completely negate it anyways. So I like it. It makes sense. It synergizes very well. It has counterplay to it, as it should. So yeah, no issues here with that one.
Yeah, and I think a lot of this we're gonna have to see what it looks like in game after it's implemented and all that. See how actually effective it is. But I still see I could see this being very useful. Like all of these wells being very useful in team fights on the midpoint. I can see them being very useful in dungeons where you group up before an encounter to stack something, or you're all in melee for some boss mechanic or something like that, and you can drop these. Like, these are all nice in certain situations, and that's what is good. That's what we need, is they are effective in a relatively common situation in most if not all game modes.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's go to the next one. Holy crap.
Well of Precognition. This is that crazy one.
This one looks insane.
Okay, so it creates a well that gives allies the ability to see the future and make their attacks unblockable. So while they are standing in this field, every tick, it gives them 3 seconds of unblockable attacks. And then when it explodes, allies in the well get distortion for 2 seconds.
Say what?
Yeah.
What the... That is awesome. I like this a lot.
Also, I think they get stability while they're standing in there as well.
So you're getting stability while being unblockable, so they can't push you back.
Yep.
And then at the end, if you want to counter them, you can't because they're evading all your shit. Yeah, I like this one. This is actually kind of funny.
Yeah.
This is awesome. I like it a lot.
Just go and blow the other team up. It's like, oh, hey, guess what we got, guys? Boom. Well, Precognition.
That is a strong well.
Yeah.
That is nice. I like that. That is... Oh.
And it's on a 45-second cooldown, ignoring Alacrity. So, I mean, you could have this thing up fairly often. And also, it's a stun. According to this, it's a stun break for the Mesmer.
Yes. Oh, wow. Even better. Even better, because, again, you're going to pop it, and they can't constantly CC you. Well, they could if they stack their... But, again, you're looking at a constant influx of stability. You're going to get 3 stacks total, probably, by looking at this. So yeah, definitely, it's really nice for sure. The long cooldown justifies it, I think.
I'd say that's probably my favorite well of the 4.
Oh yeah.
Oh man. And then there's Gravity Well. So this is, you create a powerful well that warps space and area. So it's basically a pulsing
hole.
Yeah, a pulsing black hole, more or less. Ring of warding that constantly like shrinks, kind of.
Yeah.
So it pulls everyone into the center, and then it also gives 2 stacks of ability for 10 seconds. Each pulse,
right, to
everyone standing in it, and then when it expires, it floats everyone. It floats all enemies caught in it. We've never seen float outside of
that.
That is, you float. You go up. Like, it's on land. It's effectively a stun. Like, you can think of it like a stun. Underwater, this is the thing. We've never seen float above or on land before. It's always been underwater. Because float underwater just pushes you to the surface. Unlike, or it's the opposite of sink, which...
Right.
So
we're looking at a 2-second stun.
More or less, yeah. 2-second stun. Although I don't know what the difference... I don't know how mechanically float differs from stun. So, I mean, there could be some important difference there, but it's hard to tell because I've never really interacted with float before, unless I'm caught against 3, 4, 5 people underwater in War of the World.
Right.
That'll be interesting to see how this works. But for an elite, I mean, it's the same radius as all the other wells. It's 240. I'm actually not sure how I feel about this elite. I'd almost think
it's a dark field too.
Oh, it is a dark field. Like, I think team fights, this is fantastic. 1v1s, use MOA.
Yeah, or mass invis, or even team fights. I could definitely see MOAs being utilized if proper. Yeah. Because again, you can easily burst down a target. So this is going to be very situational.
Yeah. Honestly, I can't really even comment on how nice or not so nice this is without seeing it in action. Like, this is going to be an elite we have to see people come up with builds for, or use a lot in all the modes.
Right.
It's a cool concept for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't know how it's going to work.
The rest of the worlds look awesome, but that one's a little different.
Yeah. All right. Well, we've pretty much we've hit Chronomancer, and we do have the time constraint. Time puns.
Yes.
And we're not going
to... Let's quickly go over the traits. There's not many. We can quickly just jump over them.
Okay. We'll have to be really fast about it because we still have Reaper and Dragonhunter to go.
Right. Okay. Miners, we don't care about the first one because that's just giving you the access to the F5. Flow of time, when you gain alacrity when you shatter 1 second. That is nice.
Yeah, that'll...
especially since you're gonna have 5 shatters now,
and they're all gonna be, and they'll all be cooled down faster because of alacrity, I believe.
Exactly.
So
time marches on. Holy.
Yep. You get Chronomancers get a passive 25% movement boost.
That's not fair.
Like, I see pretty much every roaming Mesmer using Chronomancer
absolutely.
because of that.
I would absolutely. That is amazing.
Also,
that is a great
also,
Grandmaster.
I should mention, it's also Dark March minus the regen.
Yeah, it is. It's a mixture of the two.
That's a minor. That's a minor. You get that from taking Chronomancer.
I want that. Can we trade? I don't. They can have 2 of my minors.
Poor Guardians.
I know, right?
Poor Guardians.
Time catches up. Activating a shatter gives your illusion.
That's super speed.
That one's kind of cool for those who are playing power shatter.
Yeah.
Allowing them to potentially, again, land their shatters a little easier because they're much faster.
Yeah.
Pretty cool concept.
That would make it so your opponent has less time to react to a shatter combo, or just your shatters in general. I like that.
Mm-hmm. Sentence delayed reactions, interrupting a foe gives you 3 seconds of slow. This would be good for those interrupt Mesmers.
Oh yeah.
Again, this is good because now we've seen one for shatter, we've seen one for interrupt, really nice. And then now we have one for support. All's well that ends.
All's well that ends well.
Wells remove conditions from allies when they end. One condition. I think this needs to be buffed personally. If anything, what would be kind of cool is I think they should kind of pulse with the well to remove a condition. I think.
I'm fine with it either way, but yeah, I would almost say having it on pulse would...
You would be removing 3.
That would almost make more sense, yeah, to have them on pulse.
Yeah. Because the other 2 are just much stronger than this one. But if they had it on pulse, you'd be removing 3. That would compete. Absolutely. I could see taking either then.
Yeah. And for anyone who's curious, who's thinking we're making puns, no, that's the actual name of the trait, is all's well that ends well. That's Anet's pun, not mine.
Yeah, who knows about that?
Alright, Masters. Illusionary Reversion. Gain a clone after you activate a shatter skill. That's pretty nice. I mean, that allows you to combo shatter skills more quickly.
Indeed. Again, another one for those who want to focus mostly on shatter. No issue there.
And then improved alacrity applied by you lasts longer. This is kind of a multi-use one. This is both support for allies and just in general nice to have for you if you have, say, longer cooldown skills or even shorter cooldown skills.
Right.
It basically takes your mechanic of that elite spec and makes it even better.
Mm-hmm. So this, again, is more of a broad sense.
Yeah.
Not bad. Nothing wrong with that.
And then Danger Time.
This is so stupid.
Gain additional crit chance against slowed enemies. Well, I mean...
Well, it's gonna combo with the Grandmasters, is what we're gonna talk about. That's why this one is gonna be insane. I think. What's the crit chance increase? Do we know?
30% is what it says here.
Oh wow! Whoa! Hello.
Yeah.
Well, again, by itself, it may not look very well, but we're gonna go to the Grandmasters, and you're gonna see why I'm like, what?
Yeah. All right, Grandmaster. Lost time. Every third crit will slow your target for 2 seconds.
Think Greatsword.
Yeah.
Think Greatsword Beam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. That is an issue.
Slow. Well, comboing that with delayed reactions, the one that interrupts 3 seconds of slow.
Oh,
you slow people with that. You interrupt them, and then you're immediately doing way more damage.
Yeah,
way
I have
more
an issue
crit.
with this. I do. I mean, I think it's a little too strong. Because again, by itself, Danger Time isn't that bad, but when you're looking at Lost Time in conjunction with it, holy crap, that is a lot. There's a lot of crit chance. That is a lot of slow being thrown around constantly. So, and there's no internal cooldown, as we've noted. There's none. So I think it's a little too good personally. Just my opinion.
And I'll throw this out there. As someone who has PvP'd against Revenants, slow is powerful. Slow hurts. Slow affects everything you do, including stomps. It's I think people who haven't had a chance to try out slow, like in PvP, don't realize how powerful that is. It is nuts. Slow is incredibly powerful.
Yep.
Yeah. There's a reason you're only seeing it in durations of like 2 and 3 seconds, because, oh man. And then the other one, this is the one I was talking about earlier with the Phantasm's Second Life. Your Phantasms respawn the first time they're... this is the first time they're shattered.
Well, if you look at the other one, though. Remember the other one? It's called... What was the other one that also gives you one when you shatter? The Illusionary Reversion. Gain a clone after you activate a shatter skill. Well, this is Phantasms. Never mind. Completely different. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool.
Good for Phantasm Mesmers.
It's good for Phantasm builds because they can do more shatters. I was just thinking with my thing earlier, with them dying as opposed to shattering.
I think that's what it's going to be the difference of, is that if you kill it, it's not going to apply.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's understandable.
Maybe
Same with
my
the other one.
Yeah, maybe my idea of Echoes of Memory isn't as OP as earlier, but it's still nice to have this because you can then you can shatter your echoes before they die, and then you got more of them.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
You could have 3 probably.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if they're in the fight because you shatter them and boom, you got more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then
the
third one was you gain another. Wasn't it another clone when you shatter?
I'm surprised it's not listed.
Yeah, I don't know where it is.
It's not here. There's only 2. That's weird.
There is a third one. No. It is clone. It's Chrono Phantasma, but clones. It's Illusionary Reversion is the third one.
Perfect. There you go. All right, let's move on to Reaper. Yay, Reaper.
Okay, so I'm gonna say this right off the bat. This is an incredibly cool looking elite spec, and I entirely intended to put that pun in there with the cool.
Yeah, you see what you did there?
Yep, because for people who don't know what Reaper is all about, it's all about chill. And more chill, and big hits that apply more chill, and keeping people close so then they can hit with those big hits and do more chill. And it's...
pain.
It will put a chill on your opponent's ability to get away. I am... ANET had a bunch of fun with the puns. I'm going to have a bunch of fun with the puns.
There you go. Let's get into it then, shall we?
Let's jump on in. Okay, so we said what the new weapon for Mesmer was. That was a shield. Necro gets Greatsword, making it even more badass.
Mm-hmm.
But like the Necro's whole shtick, Necro technically, the Reaper's whole shtick is basically giant, lumbering, gigantic damaged hits. Like, they're slow, but if you get hit by them, you notice.
Yes,
you get hurt a lot. Mm-hmm. And they're also making it so, like, they're reworking the blood magic line, which is kind of the support lifesteal line for necromancers. They're trying to make that synergize well with this, so you can get like the vampire life siphoning Reaper that's just running around knobbing everyone's health while they cleave it away. They've got that going for them. With this elite spec, the major, like, instead of them getting like a new F scale or the thing that Mesmers get with the continuum shift, the F5, Reapers actually get a different Death Shroud. They get 5 new Death Shroud scales, and they're all melee focused, and they're all really cool. Pun. Reaper Shroud. It basically takes the tanky aspect of Death Shroud and applies it to where you would think it would make most sense in melee, where they're just cleaving people, and they're just it's just incredibly awesome of a concept.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The name sounds badass either way. So,
yeah, I want to play this thing. Like, I'm kind of on playing my Necro right now, but when this comes out, for sure, my Necro's going to be a Reaper. Because, man, it just looks fun to play. I mean, even with slow greatsword attacks, like, all of the auto attacks are, like, a quarter second to a half a second longer, and that's actually a big deal in combat. Like, you may not think, oh, it's just a quarter second. Well, it's not that much. It actually is. It feels a lot different.
Like I said before, Hammer Guardian. You'll understand.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Slow.
Yeah, auto attack on a Hammer Guard. You'll understand how Reaper's going to feel on all its auto attacks. But I think it fits because they hurt when those attacks land. Like, the whole idea behind a Necro or behind a Reaper is you get in, and if your swing connects, you get rewarded because it may be slow, but it hurts. It's a truck.
Yep.
Man, it just not only just the Shroud Knight scales, but just the Greatsword scales in general. You got like the fact that the number 2, which is it's called Gravedigger, and it does like an AOE 360 whirl that it cleaves, and anyone under half health that you cleave, it resets the cooldown. Yeah,
that's pretty nice.
Yeah, Gravedigger, if you strike a target that is under half health, I believe that is what it is.
Yep.
It resets the cooldown, so you can do
Wow.
you can do it again, and again and again.
That's
and again.
really nice. I have to say, very, very nice.
I'm gonna just double check here.
No, you're right. I'm looking right at it. It's
Yeah.
either a downed or low health foe, which
Yep.
the threshold is 50%.
Yep. And there's actually a trait that they have where whenever you hit people, every target you strike with that skill, with Gravedigger, reduces all your other greatsword skills by, I think it's 3%. Yeah.
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
Is it?
It's a master trait in the Reaper line called Soul Eater. Causes your greatsword attacks to steal health, and it causes Gravedigger, the number 2, to recharge by 3%. Oh, wait. It's your... Wait. I feel like something is mixed around here, because I could have sworn I remember it being when you Gravedigger, every target you hit recharges your other greatsword skills by 3% per target hit.
Well, it doesn't say that. It just says whenever it hits a foe, it could be per foe, because it says a foe. So if you're hitting 4 foes, you're looking at a decent amount. So that could definitely be it. So I'm not saying... but it also could just be a flat 3% if you hit 5. So that's something to think about, too.
No. It's per target. You get 15% if you hit 5 targets.
There you go.
Um...
What were you trying to clarify?
I'm pretty sure it's when you use Gravedigger, it recharges all of your other greatsword skills by 3% per. Yeah. Okay, so I am thinking of it right. That's cool, especially because it synergizes well with the Gravedigger skill itself, which recharges its own cooldown when you hit people under half health.
Mm-hmm.
I just like the fact that this makes fighting a Necro in melee really, really dangerous.
Dude, in a sense, if you're fighting a power Necro in melee, it's also pretty dangerous because, again, the closer you are to them with their Lice Blast, the more damage they do regardless. So this kind of, again, sort of compounds that fact. So it's still going to be scary regardless of how you look at it. But right now, if you're fighting a power Necro and you're getting pretty close to them, they're going to do much more damage to you, especially when you're looking at, let's say, Life Blast.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this is definitely going to compound that fact. Yeah.
Yeah, but, I'm going to throw this out there because it deserves mentioning, but the whole movement change thing, this kind of throws a wrench in the whole Reaper design, so that's worry about, but we talked about that at length earlier.
Right.
But anyway, back to the Reaper. They just have so many things that, I guess the main thing I really like about Reaper is so many things that it has synergizes well with itself. Like, traits synergize well with greatsword skills, and greatsword skills synergize well with themselves, and the Reaper line synergizes well with other Necro lines, like, say, Spite Blood Magic Reaper. That's, you've got something applying a lot of vulnerability, plus a lot of self-healing, plus a lot of damage. Like, it just... I like the theme, and I like the fact that it synergizes so well with other things. What were you going to say?
I'll say that's actually a very good point that you make, because again, synergization is the key for this, and in some cases, especially now without the changes, we don't have much of that.
Yeah.
So, good changes, yes.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Reaper is like in PvP. In PvP, or even World v. World.
Chill everywhere.
Oh, yeah, chill everywhere. I suppose we could quick run through it. Run through the greatswords and the traits.
Okay, which one do you want to do first?
So we did Gravedigger. Oh, first, auto attack chain is big damage attack, cleave, big damage attack, cleave, and then the third one is big damage attack, cleave, and 4.5 seconds of chill.
Yeah, no.
I
4 seconds is a lot,
But
dude.
the thing is, it's a big wind-up.
Dude, I have a giant wind-up, and it doesn't give me nearly as much benefit as that. That's a lot of benefit, dude. A 4-second chill?
But that's their whole shtick, though, is chill.
I get that, but I just think that the duration might be a tiny bit too long for an auto. That's all. I mean, again, I understand that's their shtick, but that is a significant amount of chill on just an auto attack.
Yeah, but again, it is the third auto attack, and if you can't hit your target with the first two, then
It's up for debate. Numbers, we forgot to do that.
Yeah,
Right.
we'll have to see how that turns out. Gravedigger, we already talked about. That's still a lot of damage, though.
Oh, 1,500 is definitely a lot. It is, absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, man. Death Spiral. This one is...
That's going to synergize with some of the traits.
It's going to synergize with a lot of things, but it's just the way it looks. Like, it's basically a giant death drill. Like, it does 6 strikes of 684 numbers, blah, blah, blah. But from what they showed us, 6 strikes of a fair amount of damage, and each one of those strikes does 2 stacks of Vuln.
That's not bad.
For 10
That's
seconds.
nice.
For 10 seconds. Like, the only way to avoid all 12 of these stacks is if you dodge out of it mid skill.
Right.
Like,
The range isn't very huge, though.
Well, no, but you're gonna be in melee
Right.
with all your other stuff anyway.
Of course.
So, I mean, you're gonna get that 12 vulnerability. 90% of the time.
Oh, absolutely.
If you can land this thing, you will get that all the time. And that... Because... no, I'm thinking of a different trait. Anyway, that is going to synergize well with a lot of other things, too. It's on a 10-second... 10-second cooldown as well. So, I mean, you can use this thing fairly often.
Oh, absolutely, without a doubt. Yeah, I'd say it's a pretty strong skill. Again, I like it. It's strong. But again, the stipulation being in melee, which is good. So.
Yeah. And then Nightfall... This is the only greatsword skill that gives blindness, but it's like AoE blindness.
It's a dark field, too.
Yeah. It's a dark field that... Actually, I think they changed this. So they said they changed the functionality of this during the stream where they showed it. So I don't really know if it's worth going over from what we can see. Because I don't think this functionality is actually...
Final yet, huh?
Yeah, I don't think it's actually accurate, is what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
I know it will blind. I know it's going to be an AoE column of darkness that does damage and blinds in some fashion, but I don't remember what they changed the functionality to. Anyway, the last one, Reaper's Grasp. These are like warrior cooldowns, too. Every single one of these greatsword skills is on roughly a warrior greatsword cooldown. So, I mean...
I like it.
Yeah, you can use a lot of this stuff a lot of the time, especially with that greatsword cooldown trait.
Damage is decent on this one. Poison. It's a pull.
Yeah, it's a pull. You get a bunch of life force. I
like it.
Yeah,
it's the concept of melee, of being in melee. You have to get your foes close to you. So this makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, for those who don't know what it is you toss spectral sides out at a target, and then the animation is basically a giant hand claw that just like pulls them towards you. And this is basically the Reaper version of Rush. Like, it's the same slot. It does the same kind of thing. It closes a distance. And it has a lot of nice benefits.
Poison.
Poison, yeah. Poison, pull, and life force. I mean, and damage.
Yep.
I mean, I'm down for that. Alright, we could hit the Reaper, we can hit the Shroud skills, and then the traits. And then we'll probably have roughly... half an hour-ish for Dragonhunter.
Right. Alright, let's go through it.
Okay, so auto attack on Death Shroud. It's
just damage.
Yeah, it's just damage, but it's your life. It's your auto attack. It's technically your Death Shroud auto attack. So you get all of the stuff from I think Spite. All the benefits of stuff that affects your Death Shroud skills affects these skills as well.
Right.
So you get extra life force. You get the second one is the same thing. You get more life force and whatever other benefits for the auto attacks. And then life reap is even more. Like
that's a lot of damage.
The auto attack for the Death Shroud is basically just life force. Yeah. Like most Necros will probably have life force gaining traits, or at least something that gives you either life force or benefits on using your Death Shroud auto attack. So this is just like, it's a nice auto attack, and I mean this is a half a second auto attack. This is like as fast as a Warrior or Guardian Greatsword auto.
Oh yeah, it's very very fast. Damage is actually pretty decent. It's actually on par with that pretty decently.
Yeah.
Yeah, not bad at all.
Yeah, I like it. Death Charge. This is like the only mobility skill that Necros in general kind of have, other than like forward mobility, I should say.
Right.
Like all of their other mobility skills are like reverse. Like Fleshworm, you choose where you go beforehand. Spectral Walk. You choose where you go beforehand. Like it's all of their mobility skills are setups. Whereas this is the only one that doesn't really require a set. I should also mention the skill that this replaces, Path of Darkness, I believe is what it's called. Mm-hmm. This one you have to have a target that you throw the hand at, and then once it reaches that person, it teleports you to them. Yeah. It still requires a setup. Death Charge is really the only one that you don't have to have a setup. You
just a leap, yeah.
Yeah, it's a leap. You spin forward. This is where the Necrocopter
I saw
idea
that
comes
too.
from.
Crazy.
It looks cool. And, I mean, it's a bunch of poison to everyone. It's all... Oh, Dark Path is what it was called. Mm-hmm. Path of Darkness, Dark Path, whatever, same thing.
They're all dark.
It's all dark. But yeah, it's... I like it because it goes with the theme of Reaper, which is you are constantly on your target, and you are just munching their health the entire time. And it gives you poison. I could see this being really nice for, say, a team fight, where you just... right through the middle of midpoint.
Oh, easily.
You just cleave through everyone, poison on everyone. This would be really nice for if your team has some downed people. Or if your team has some of the enemy team downed, just Death Charge right through people, and then there's your poison for downed people to keep them from getting rezzed quickly. I think it's cool. I like it.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. It's actually really nice.
Infusing Terror. Let's see. Oh, this is the one where it like gives you a pillar of, or like, I guess a pillar. It's
yeah.
you give yourself stability, and that's
you
nice.
You can shatter it if you want for the fear.
Exactly. You give yourself stability for, it's like you get 3-second pulses, or no, 3 seconds of stability whenever it pulses. I don't know what the pulse is, but it lasts for 8 seconds. But yeah, you can shatter it.
Oh, it's every second, the pulse.
Okay, so you can have roughly, I don't know, what, 3 stacks constantly?
This one might be too good because the cooldown's really low, and you're not going to be able to CC a Necromancer utilizing this.
But that's the whole point. You like, as a Necro, you don't really have much access to stability as it is.
But that's a lot, dude.
But you got to remember, this is their Death Shroud, so that's already a stipulation. And then it's just this one skill. So, I mean, it's not like they're going to have all of a sudden a crazy amount of stability everywhere. It's just... Right. I think it fits well because it gives them something to allow them to stay in the fight while in their super mode, essentially, and gives them that ability to stay in there. And then if they want to add some extra control to the fight or whatever, and they're willing to give up that stability, pop the armor and boom, you got an AoE fear. Mm-hmm. And 360 radius, I mean, that's the size of a conquest point. I think it's fine. Because, I mean, if you can manage to get out of the range of it, if you can get away from the Reaper, I mean, good luck doing that. Other than the mobility change, right? Or blah blah blah. There is a little bit of counterplay. Like, you see them throw on this armor, and unless they shatter it right away, you can get out of range and maybe bait that shatter.
Right. Maybe.
So
I mean, I'm with you. It's not a bad skill. I just think that maybe it might give a little too much stability for the cooldown. That's just me personally. Again, I know that's what their shtick is. But you can't just give a class everything they need, to get to their opponent, right? Again, speaking from a Guardian, I don't have that.
Well,
you don't have that at all.
No, I
do.
Don't have balance stance. Well, no, not pulsing, but balance stance is.
What is the cooldown of balance stance?
It's 40 seconds, but I mean
this is half that, dude.
For 5 stacks.
Yeah, but this is going to be half, and it's going to be giving you at least 8 stacks. Because it's once every second, and it's going to last for 3 seconds. So you're going to get a shit ton of stacks.
I think you'll only have like 3 at any given time.
Oh no! I mean, like if you're talking about 3 stackable, yes, but total you're going to have 8.
Yeah, well, yeah, but I mean, that's also assuming they're not going to. Like, honestly, I think it's fine. I think if anything, this is something we'll have to see in the game. We'll have to see people use it. I honestly think it looks fine. I understand your concerns, but I honestly think we'll need to wait. We'll need to wait.
I could be completely wrong, But again, I'm just voicing concerns that potentially this might be too good. I can be completely wrong. This might actually be a very well balanced skill.
Yeah. Anyway, Soul Spiral. More Necrocopter. This is like.
This reminds me of Whirling Wrath.
Yeah, well, this is just like life force galore.
Actually, this is Whirling Wrath. It's exactly what it is.
Actually, yeah, it is. Only life force. And
Yeah. Damage is about the same, honestly.
Yeah. A lot of damage.
Yeah, that's what it is, dude. I mean, it doesn't seem very different, honestly.
Yeah, but it lets them stay in Death Shroud more.
Right.
It's fairly simple. I mean, but it does have all of the stuff from blood magic that, like, say, transfusion, where it gives life to your allies that you hit. I think that's a cool synergy.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I don't know. It's a cool skill. Now what to say about it? Execution Scythe. Oh my god. Okay, Execution Scythe. I like it, but I'm a little salty because it's my backbreaker, but with chill. And
a lot of damage.
And
it's
ice combo field.
It's a field. It's going to do a shit ton of damage.
And 5 seconds. Whereas backbreaker, I think, is like 2 or 3.
But the cast time's long as hell. Holy shit.
Let's see. Okay, backbreaker is 2 seconds.
There's 1.
And 1 second.
No, I'm talking about the cast time.
That's only a quarter second longer than backbreaker.
I just noticed that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be a strong one. Holy crap.
I like it. I like it where it is. I think it's cool. But, my god, they gave them, like...
That's a lot of damage,
backbreaker on steroids.
It's backbreaker, chill, ice field, 5 seconds, on not even a long cooldown either. That's not even that long.
And with the numbers they've got, assuming if it's a under half health target, which is probably the most likely situation, 3 times the damage, roughly, of backbreaker.
Yeah, that's going to hurt a lot. I mean, again, it's hard to make comparisons, but again, I love Executioner skills. I wish I had one to play around with. This is actually really cool. I like it.
Yeah,
I think the cooldown should be longer, personally, for something that's so ridiculously strong as this. It's strong.
I'm salty over them basically giving them a better backbreaker, but I think it's cool. I like the skill as it is. I like it being that powerful because, again, stipulation of being in Shroud Knight, of being in Death Shroud. And it fits with the theme of what the Reaper does. Also, they don't have the mobility of Warrior. Like, I have a greatsword. I can get to my target and then switch and backbreaker their face off. Or break their back.
Right.
So I'm fine with it because they don't have the mobility of a Warrior. They can't get around like we can and then switch to hammer and drop it on their face. Or, like, even within the hammer skills, Warriors, we can Earthshaker to our target.
Right. I'm not sure how. Again, I see where you're coming from. I'm not sure how I feel about it. Again, if we're talking mobility, we're going to go over the traits really soon, where it's going to kind of almost negate that fact very soon with one of their dogged march traits, which is going to really help with that, especially while in Death Shroud. So I still think it hits way too hard. I think this is probably a full Zerker thing, which is okay, but even in full Zerker, 1900 damage. What the heck, man? That's going to instantly drop anybody.
Well, that's the point of it, though.
Right. And I get that. That's understandable. 1,500 damage is also a lot. But it's just, oh my goodness, that is a lot. There's so many things attached to it. You're talking about high damage on top of a chill, on top of a stun, on top of a 5-second ice field. On only a 30-second cooldown. That's not that long.
It's
like I said, can be completely wrong. It might not be that strong. But
that's gonna be one to see what happens. But I think it's fine from what I've seen, even if I'm a little salty over the Super Saiyan backbreaker. Right. Okay, traits real quick. We could probably briefly touch on shouts too, and then really we'll have to go really fast to the Dragonhunter.
All right, your shouts recharge faster every time for each foe they hit. That's cool. Whatever.
Did we do? I don't think we did anything about the miners. First miner is Shroud Knight. It gives you Shroud Knight and Greatsword. Second is Shivers of Dread. Your second miner. Chill enemies who are feared by you. And so it's chill on whatever you fear.
Right.
Which synergizes with some of the traits we talked about.
Right.
And then Cold Shroud, your chills last 20% longer, and you take less damage from chilled enemies.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
Numbers,
but yeah.
Jeez. For a minor?
Yeah. All right, Adept. This is the one you were talking about. Shouts recharge 7% faster for each foe they hit, so that's potentially a...
That could be much better than your standard 20%, depending upon if you're in a team fight.
Well,
if you only need to hit 3 people with 1 shout, you know what I mean? So
7 times 5 is, what, 28?
35.
35. So, yeah. Oh, it says it right there. So, yeah, 35% recharge on... These shouts are actually... they're decently short cooldowns, so I mean...
Right.
Yeah, I'd say that works.
Of course.
Then the second adept is Chilling Nova. Crits against chilled foes cause an explosion. Chilled nearby enemies can't
More
happen...
chill.
Yep, more chill. And it can't happen more than 3 times within 10 seconds. I actually like the concept of this, I like the mechanic, and I like the fact that it's not just one internal cooldown. It's, okay, you can have this go off 3 times, but if that happens, you can't do it again for another 10 seconds. Or, like, it'll happen more often than an internal cooldown would allow.
Mm-hmm.
I just like the way they've kind of put that trait together. And, yeah, it's AoE and more chill. And it works well with the fact that the Reaper is in melee most of the time, if not always. And then Relentless Pursuit, here's the Dog March. Reduce the duration of movement in pairing conditions, and then you get a 60... Okay, it's 33%.
That's on steroids, dude.
Yeah.
What the hell?
It's 33%, just like every other one of these, when you're not in Reaper Shroud. When you are in Reaper Shroud, it's basically like Rampage for Warriors, if we have Dog March, because a Warrior with Rampage and Dog March has 66% reduction while we're in Rampage. That's essentially what this is.
And then if they take, say, Hull Break, you're looking at 86%.
Yep.
What the hell?
So then Reapers will become the new Snare Immune Warriors of PvP.
Why? Whatever. I'm letting them have it. You know what? I'm not going to be salty. I'm just going to go on my little Guardian corner. You can have your shit. Okay?
Well, you'll get your chance to shine when we get through all these.
Yeah. Next one.
Next one, Soul Eater. This is one I was talking about before. You get lifesteal on your great sword attacks, and then also when you use Gravedigger, it recharges all of your great sword skills by 3% per full hit, which means 15%. And then if you're hitting a bunch of down foes, you're spamming Gravedigger. You get 15%. So you can recharge your shit really quick.
Absolutely.
Really fast. Chilling Force. Second master is you gain might and life force when you hit a chilled foe. And they say that they're going to change the numbers, blah, 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 whatever. Given numbers are going to change. Right. But yeah, you gain might and life force when you hit a chilled foe. And guess what you're doing? Chilling everyone.
Every day. All day.
Chill for days. Third one, Decimate Defenses. Striking a foe with vulnerability gives you a 2% crit chance per stack. Meaning...
And then, remember, some of those skills stack a crap ton. Remember we talked about 12 stacks earlier with one of the skills.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's
meaning... Someone with 25 stacks of own, you have a 50% crit chance against them without any precision.
Yep.
With 0.
Yep.
And there's another trait, I think in Spite, that gives you 50% base crit chance while you're in Death Shroud, which means it affects Shroud Knight, which means
100%.
100%. You don't even need. You could build soldiers.
No precision.
You could build soldiers and go to town with someone with this trait. That's crazy.
Yay. Numbers.
So the Grandmasters. Blighter's Boon. This is a pun on Smiter's Boon from the first game and what they're giving Dragonhunters. Blah, blah, blah. It was funny. I got the pun right away, and I didn't even play Guild Wars 1 that much. But yeah, so it's gain life force when you get a boon, and if you're in Reaper Shroud, you gain health instead.
That's kind of cool.
That's going to be nice with like Ellies and Guardians and people who spam a lot of AoE boons. That's going to be cool.
Mm-hmm.
Deathly Chill. This is, I've alluded to this a couple times, cause this makes it so whenever you chill opponents, you also deal damage. And then you deal even more damage to opponents who are below half health.
Why?
With this, yeah, it's basically terror. But on chill.
Constantly.
Yeah. It's, I like that one. That one could be horrendously broken, but I like it.
Yay for horrendously broken stuff.
Yay! Well, numbers.
Yep.
And then Reaper's Onslaught attack 50%, I think, faster, while in Reaper's Death Shroud.
Right.
And then killing a foe recharges Death Charge. So you do the number 2 in Shroud Knight, where you do the little dash forward.
Right.
Considering how much damage this thing does, and considering how many people actually do die around you a fair amount in PvP, and even in PvE, I honestly think an on-death effect is fine. especially considering what it does with your number 2. Like most of the ones we've talked about previously on the podcast been like, oh, it's an on-death. Why do we still have these? I think the fact that this has another effect that's not tied to on-kill, and then the fact that this spec does so much damage, and it has so many ways to stay in the fight and kill things. I think this is fine. Even as a Grandmaster.
Honestly, yeah.
Yeah. Like, I don't see a problem with it being there. Alright. And then we can quick over the shouts, and then we'll get to the Dragonhunter, and then time constraints. Yay. Like, when you said doing this at, like, 5 my time instead of 4,
right.
I was like, I'm gonna run out of time, but it's all good. It's all good. Okay, shouts. The heal. Okay, I'll throw this out there. I'm not really a fan of shouts mechanically because no counterplay and they don't.
Well, these do actually. They have cast times.
Oh, right.
These are not instant.
That's right. Thank you for reminding me. I remember now.
A little different, huh?
A little different. Okay, your soul's mine, you heal yourself and strike foes around you, absorbing life force from each foe struck. So, I'd say that's pretty neat. I mean, it's an AoE heal that gives you life force. This is kind of like Healing Surge for warriors, only it's for necros. I think that's pretty neat, especially in an AoE situation. The theme with all these shouts, for those who don't know, is basically you get more benefit for the more people you hit with these shouts, and these are offensive shouts. You are hitting people with them. The second shout, you are all weaklings. Damage foes around you, inflicting Condis on them and giving you boons per foe struck. So basically, it's AoE weakness, and you get might.
I like that a lot.
You get 4 stacks of might per target hit, according to the numbers, for 4 seconds.
It's not bad either.
Oh, man.
It's really not.
The might stack. Then the next one, rise, damage foes around you, and then you summon a jagged horde for each enemy struck. So basically, if you hit 5 targets, you got 5 jagged horrors. This, depending on how they rework these things, it's synergistically, I see this being really nice with there's a trait in I think Death Magic where when your minions explode or when your minions die, they explode with a poison cloud.
Yes.
And there's another trait in there that makes it so you take reduced damage from poison foes. So I mean, this shout I could see actually being used by Minionmancers.
Why not? It makes sense.
Reapers.
I mean, you'd have to suffer. You'd have to actually get rid of one of your minions, but that'd be fine. Again,
imagine just all the poison fields around a point. Oh man!
Right. Oh.
Poison everywhere. Third one: suffer damage foes around you and chill them, and then transfer a Condi to each foe you strike.
Yay, chill.
Yay, chill, and yay, Condi transfer.
Yep. This could actually take place because again, if you're taking your soul as mine to heal, you're actually getting rid of consume conditions. Your Condi cleanse. This could actually replace that. This would be helpful.
Yeah. You could do your soul's mine plus suffer, and then badoom. And apparently there was a stun break there, but they said no. And then nothing can save you. The fourth one, damage foes around you, converting their boons to vuln.
Right.
And your attacks become unblockable for a short time, and the duration of the unblockable effect increases the number of foes you strike. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it is.
That's 2 boons, like according to the numbers here, 2 boons removed, AoE, with Vuln. I don't know if it's Vuln per, like, 5 stacks of Vuln per boon ripped.
It's probably just 5 stacks of Vuln.
It could be, it could just be 5. But, yeah.
that base 4 seconds is pretty long, too.
Yeah. And it's 10 seconds of Vuln. 10
no,
seconds
the
of...
unblockable. Is what I mean.
Oh, yeah. 4 seconds, so potentially upwards of, what, 20 seconds of unblockable?
No, not 20. It would be, well, it's 1 second per hit. So you're looking at potentially 9 seconds.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
That's still a lot.
That's still a lot, seconds. Yeah. That's more than activating Signet of Might on Warrior.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Alright, and then the Elite freeze. Oh, okay, this is cool. This is actually, like, this sells me on the idea of an Elite shout. It's called Chilled the Bone. You freeze all enemies around you, and you gain resistance for each foe you freeze. And it does, like, the base damage, according to this, what they showed us, is 1,000. Like, 1,034. So that's a decent amount of damage. AoE. 12 seconds of chill AoE.
12 seconds. 12.
Yes.
Think about that for a second. 12.
And also remember, there's that trait that makes it so chill does damage. And then you get resistant, 2 seconds of resistance per target hit. And
this looks nice.
It's also a stun for 2 seconds. That's basically an AoE backbreaker.
Yay, more stuns.
Yeah, that's nuts.
I think it's decent. I have to say though, it doesn't seem incredibly powerful. The cast time is long.
Yeah, it is.
It is easily avoidable.
Yeah. Well, it's 600. It's 600 range, so avoidable is debatable, but you can dodge it.
Yeah. Or block it, or roll, or even actually you could probably even blind it. I wouldn't be surprised.
You probably can, yeah.
So interesting.
Yeah, but even still, I mean, imagine this in a chaotic mid-fight. Oh man.
Oh, that's gonna hurt.
Oh, that'll hurt.
Pain.
Suddenly, the entire team is trapped in ice, and boom. Still, the shouts are actually like, I'm not a fan of warrior shouts. Like, they're practical, but they're boring, and they have no real counterplay. These ones are cool. These have counterplay. I like them. I like the warrior.
Absolutely,
I like
the cast times
Reaper.
are nice. Yeah.
All right. We got like 13 minutes to rip through.
Jeez.
Yeah, I feel bad. I feel bad because
it's okay. It's whatever.
We could actually, come to think of it, would you? This is an idea.
What's up?
Since you and I are we main Guardian and Warrior respectively, what would you say we save Dragonhunter for when the Warrior Elite spec gets revealed, and then we do similar to what we did on the Return episode, where we just go ham on our two classes?
Yeah, let's do that. Absolutely. That actually makes more sense.
Yeah, because that'll give you all the time in the world to talk about Dragonhunter, and then that'll give me all the time in the world to talk about whatever the Warrior Elite spec is.
Absolutely. I have no issue with that. You want to do that?
Yeah, let's do that. So whenever the Warrior Elite spec comes out, we can just have an episode where it's Guardian and Warrior Elite spec for like the entire cast, because we'll be able to, like, I know for the Chronomancer and Reaper we can't. There's a lot. I know there's a lot of combos, a lot of insight that we don't have because we don't really main those classes. I mean, we've both played them. We both know some of the stuff that they can do, but we don't have the insight that a main of those respective classes have.
Absolutely.
So combining it with the other stuff we talked about, I think works out from our perspective. But we have that insight for Guardian and Warrior, so we can talk about all the crazy combos and stuff, all the crazy things that'll come with those elite specs.
Dude, I'm all for it. Absolutely, that would actually be a really good idea.
Yeah, and that solves the time constraint issue.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we suddenly have time, roughly 10 minutes or so. Overall, what do you think of the Reaper and the Chronomancer? I can already say that I like the kind of combo between the two, but like, how do you see these two fitting into PvE, PvP? Well, I suppose for you PvP. How do you see these kind of fitting in?
I could definitely see them fitting in, especially PvP. Reaper for sure. The AoE, just the constant amount of chill is gonna be crazy. But also, I'm curious to see if they have enough sustain to withstand AoE pressure.
Yeah.
Now, granted, if they're going to put out a significant amount of damage and chill, then they should not have a shit ton of sustain. It wouldn't make any sense. We'd be back to the same spot where I was with the Celestial crap. So if they're going to put out significant damage and chill, then they better be prepared to take a beating, as they should. So I'm actually pretty okay with that. The Chronomancer looks very interesting as well. That's going to take a lot of coordination, I think. Yeah. A lot to get it down, but I think if you can really nail it, just constant phantasms, clones being thrown everywhere.
Alacrity all over the place.
Alacrity all over the place. Double MOA, double time warp, double mass invis. Again, it's going to be a lot of really good counterplay to see.
Yeah.
So yeah, I could definitely see them both being utilized more so on the Reaper side because it looks like Reaper is going to be easier to utilize.
Yeah.
Than Chronomancer.
Yeah, I honestly see, like, in PvE. I'll throw this out there for the people who are wondering about the PvE side of things. I obviously both of them being brought to groups. The Reaper, as far as like top tier PvE, that's going to depend heavily on what the PvE, how the PvE is designed, but also how much damage the Reaper can actually put out. Because if they can put out a lot of damage, like if they are in their element and they can put out damage that is like far superior to other classes, when they have 25% or 25 stacks of might, I could honestly see Reapers becoming part of a speedrunning group, because they're going to get the benefits. Yeah, they're selfish, but they're bringing damage, and more damage to the table. So depending on how valuable that damage is to a clear, I could see them being brought. But again, it's going to depend heavily on how those numbers turn out and whatnot.
Right.
Chronomancer I could definitely see brought because of alacrity, because of the effects of the wells, because of all that. But again, that's also going to depend on, okay, how good is their own DPS, how valuable is alacrity to a speedrun group, stuff like that. In casual runs and casual speedruns, I could see both of these being brought for those reasons. I'm just trying to think of how they would fit into, say, a meta speedrun group, like a record clearing speedrun group. That's all gonna be stuff that depends on what it looks, or how it looks when it comes into the game.
Right.
World v World, Chronomancers I definitely see being used because of the passive 25% movement speed.
Holy crap.
Yeah, and then just a lot of the stuff they have works well in that kind of area, that game mode, for roaming anyway. I could see them being useful in Zerg fights as well because of the wells, and because of the alacrity and all that fun stuff. That just because, although, no, with the party and the party prioritization, I could see that being useful in those situations as well. So I could definitely see Chronomancer in maybe the larger group stuff, which is kind of where the current Mesmer kind of falls behind, other than with portals and time warp.
Mm-hmm.
They're really nice for roaming right now, but I could see Chronomancer being maybe utilized a bit more in the large group stuff. I could still see them being used in roaming as well. Reaper is going to be... I gotta see that in roaming. That's going to be one of those things where it's... Are they just too slow? Are they going to immensely suffer from the problem of the mobility change if they keep that in there? Which, I mean, that's already going to be a problem, but we'll have to see how it actually ends up,
of course,
before we draw any final conclusions. Roaming, I could see them being used, but at the same time, I almost feel like Reapers will be used as much as Necros are roaming right now, where you'll see them, but not a lot, because they're not super fast.
Exactly.
But if you do get caught by one, you're going to get ripped apart.
Mm-hmm.
So again, that'll be one to see. I think with Chronomancer, that's going to be, for PvP, we're going to need to see how that works. For similar reasons to PvE, we'll need to see how valuable that support is. PvP for Reaper, I am fairly confident that we will see them used, but they will be treated like Lich form is right now, where as soon as you see a Reaper, they become the priority target.
Oh yeah,
that's what I feel. How I'm going to feel teams that go up against teams with Reapers is going to be. Is the team with the Reaper, that Reaper is going to be the focus target almost immediately.
Right.
Well, it's like what we were talking about earlier. If they're going to put out a significant amount of damage in soft CC, then yeah, absolutely, I'm going to go right at them.
Yeah.
Just like I did before, just like I do now. They're gonna have absolutely no mercy on the opposite end. They shouldn't receive it either, honestly. And nor should they ever get a significant amount of sustain in return just because they are the target. Because if you're going to put out a shit ton of damage, like what we're seeing, and a ton of chill, that it just doesn't make any sense to give them sustain as well. A ton of sustain,
yeah.
That is.
Imagine this. I know we're going to see this shortly after the expansion. 5 Reaper team.
5 Reaper team?
5 Reaper team.
Oh, they're going to get torn apart, dude.
After all the meta changes, I don't know, but it'll be funny to see regardless.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah, it's definitely going to be done. There's going to be 5 specialty teams for each specialty,
yeah.
I'm sure. Just for shits,
Yeah.
But absolutely, yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah, honestly, we won't know anything in its final form until the expansion comes out, until we see how these things fit into whatever the meta is then, because it's certainly not going to be with the meta we have now. But yeah, I'm excited for both of these elite specs coming.
Absolutely, without a doubt, dude.
They're both cool concepts. They both look like they'll be effective in some capacity. I want to see. I really want to see. I'm excited.
Oh, I can't wait to, dude. It's gonna be awesome.
All right, so next week, what do you want to talk about?
That is an issue because I can't seem to figure out what else there's left, honestly, that we did not cover. You know?
Well, I mean, there's plenty of other things to talk about, like just Heart of Thorns overall. There will be they're talking about guild halls at E3 coming up this week.
Well, there we go. We can have that.
Also,
that'd be okay.
Also, that'll be after the skill and trait rebalance live stream they're doing tomorrow. So, I mean,
that would actually be a good one as well to give the insight to the changes that we're looking at, which might be final based on what they're talking about.
Yeah, I figured by then they would. Whatchamacallit? I would figure they would have more or less finalized stuff at that live stream tomorrow. So we could talk about the changes. I would assume they're also going to show some of the skill changes, some of the stuff we haven't seen before. So yeah.
Let's do that. Yeah,
let's do that.
That'd be a good idea.
Yeah, okay, let's do that. We'll talk about the guild hall stuff that they're going to talk about, and we can talk about the newly shown updates to the skill stuff. So
yeah,
all right. So let's do that.
I'm for either day too. Saturday or Sunday, I'm off both days. So pick a day and we're good.
All right, it'll probably be Sunday because I got an invite to go do a completely unrelated podcast, well, pseudo-unrelated podcast on Saturday. So I'll probably do that, and then, we could do this a week from today.
Sounds good, man.
All right, that has been Shin-Arken Podcast episode 16, talking about, well, it was originally going to be 3 elite specs, but we dropped it to 2 because we changed our plan. So yeah. We will see you guys next week talking about the stuff we just figured out. And yeah, that'll be that. Thanks for listening. This is Shin signing out, and we got Arken.
Bye-bye.
All right, see you guys later.